So here we are at the Fabtech in Chicago, and Fabtech is basically industrial machinery that works with metal, cuts, bends, welds, all kinds of nifty things that you can do with metal. Here's some of the products that they make. Practically everything you use in everyday life, everything you drive on, ride on, fly on, is made by these machines. Major names like Trump, Amada, Mitsubishi, and many others that I've never heard of. And all of these machines are run by computers, PLCs, electronics, and a big part of this is robotics. So they do not do live demonstrations because the lasers will burn your eyes, but you get the idea. This is the kind of stuff that's being manufactured. And this is what basically runs the world. This is the look at the backside of the world. And few individuals get to see how it's made. I mean, how the parts, gears and kegs of the system in the world are made. I have been to the factories. I have worked with these machines, albeit that the older versions of them, but it's the versions that break. So here is a demonstration of a bender with a robotic arm manipulator. Here it did it. It bent a piece of metal that is at least 5 or 6 millimeters thick. What I was told by the people who work with the machines is there is sky is the limit to what these machines can do, but it's the material that you buy that has the best quality, because if material is bad, machine goes bad. Here is probably a laser cutter. This is Amada. It's a Japanese company, and all that I'm interested in is when this machine breaks. When this machine breaks, they call me. I'm the one that get to look into this box. I'm the one that get to push the things on the inside of that box. Oh, this is Mitsubishi. Sorry, Armada is over here. Newer versions as well as older versions basically work the same. It's the newer motors, newer magnets, newer materials. I probably have seen some of these people when I worked at Armada. Armada is big in this world, and there is a lot of jobs. But to work for Armada, you get paid as an expert. This is old information, 10 years old, but they were offering me about $25 per hour. Unlimited hours, of course. You have to dedicate your life to the company. You'll get paid a lot, but you'll also work a lot. This is the machine I was working on. Older version of this machine. I got it fixed. I know how it works. You can have, as you've seen, robot feeding material. You can have people feeding material. You can have robots taking material off. You can have people taking material off. What they're not talking about here is what it costs to install this machine. But if you are a new company, that's easy. What it costs to replace this machine. So this machine costs, I don't know, by the looks of it, millions and millions of dollars. It's not just one machine. It's usually you buy a whole system, and you have to have OSHA inspectors come in and approve everything. The location, the ceiling, the height, the width, the electricity, the hydraulics, the power consumptions, and all the nitty-gritty details that get omitted here, because these machines do not have production. They are all behind glass. In the real world, the whole thing is slightly different. Installations. And then what happens when a machine turns 10, 15, 20 years old? They stop supporting these machines. They want to sell you a new one. They don't want you to have the old one. And that's where I come in. I fix these machines, the old ones especially, that no one wants to fix. No one wants to have anything to do with. They just want them off the market. But if the machine is $1 million machine, another that you already paid for, and it's not repairable, but in reality the repair circuit may cost $5, and now you have the dismantling and recycling of the old machine. You have the purchase of the new machine. You have the installation of the new machine, where you most likely will have to make room, a new concrete flooring because of the new requirements. You will have the cost of the machine itself, the training of the people, the costs could double. Whatever you get quoted for the price of the machine itself, which is high, double or triple the cost by the time you're done and machine is fully functional. May take a year for people to learn the new how the new machine operates, because if you have a gap of 15 years in this world, in the world of industrial manufacturing, that's a lifetime, because there's so many things that have been added. Now, a lot of the things that you were doing on your old machine are manual. These will automate a lot of that process. But what will happen when these machines are no longer supported by the companies? And these machines do not use standard computer components. More and more goes into proprietarization. More and more of these machines are using Linux operating system, like they didn't before. Most of them were using Linux, but a lot were using Windows. Usually it was Windows Embedded. And Windows Embedded is a different operating system than regular Windows. Preparation, installation, driver selection, different. They ran on a much smaller hardware profile, a smaller footprint, less memory. Interestingly, the machines that were made in the middle of the 90s, 1994, they were using solid-state drives. Yes, I was fixing machines that used solid-state drives from 1994. Here's the automobile manufacturer, how they bend pipes, how they cast things, and oh my god. Interestingly, companies today do not have enough money to just keep buying all these things, and oftentimes the people at the company look at the machine and say, well, all this metal is still good. I can manually drive the hydraulic pumps and motors and actuators. It's the brain part that went bad, and nobody knows how to fix the brains on these machines, which is understandable, because people who use these machines have a different set of skills. They tell machines how to make holes, how to bend metal, but they have no idea how the machine, the actual metal of the machine, interfaces and interacts with this part, with the brain part. This one uses Windows, which is nice, which means I can fix it, provided that the manufacturer will give me installer for the software that runs this gigantic machine. It is beautiful. This is my world. However, it is my world on my terms. I will come out to the company. I will fix your machine. I will get it working, and I will charge by what makes me happy, not by what makes these companies happy, because they have considerable expense in investing the engineering and the manufacturing of these machines. They don't want to have any expense in fixing any of these machines. Repairs on them is liability. Liability for the company that made it, liability for the company that bought it. And they want to save money on me. They want to pay as little as possible for my 30, 40, 50 years of experience. And talking to the guys, so I was contracting for Armada for a week, talking to the guys, going to the lunches, and sadly, my decision to abandon the pursuit of working for Armada itself or any of these companies was the general sentiment of the workers at the factory that fixed these machines is negative. Armada doesn't want to pay them. And I'm sure it's a similar sentiment for most of these companies. As I said, this is repair of these machines is liability, and nobody wants to have liability. For a company to hire a technician from, and I would say Amada, because that's the information I had, and this is 10-year-old information. Today is 2025. I was doing this maybe less than 10, about 2016. It was back then about $5,000 to $6,000 for a technician to just come over to the factory and determine what's going on. Not a repair. If they can repair, good, but not a repair. Just to do the diagnostics on what's happening with these machines. And for a company that shelled out $2 million for this machine, $6,000 is not a lot of money. Now, the technician that works on this machine, so be it me, would get paid $25 per hour. You are not encouraged to incur overtime, and you are encouraged to waste as much time as possible. As I was talking to the head of Amada, or one of the heads, I actually did talk to the president, and I told him, hey, oftentimes it takes me 15 minutes to find a problem. Now, not all the time, but frequently enough. I wanna, and I've been sent to middle of nowhere, and I don't want to sit here for a week, because that was the agreement, and the company paid for a week's worth of my time. Can I fix it in 15 minutes, collect my 1 week payment and leave? Nope, you cannot do that. You have to make it look like it took you a week to fix. You have to throw the dust in the eyes of the company that hired you, that anything you do on these machines is super complicated and no one knows how to fix it beside you, and it takes you a really long time to fix it. So if you know the problem on the first day, on the first hour, on the first minute, what's going on, because you work with the machines all the time and you know particulars, and they develop certain habits, and you learn the habits of the machine and you go and look for that. If that's what it is, well, you don't fix it. You just stretch time. You just keep going and going and going and making it look like it's so complicated. They don't know. The company don't know. They have smart people, and I've dealt with them and I talk to them. The people who work at the companies, they're not stupid. And if you tell them some kind of incorrect information about the metal itself, they will definitely catch you. But anytime you touch electronics, they're like, oh, full blinders on. No one knows what's going on. No one wants to touch that. No one wants to touch the wires. And that's your cue. That's where you shine. You go in, you dismantle the wiring, you take apart the complicated things and make it look like it's a very hard job. This looks very heavy. This piece is solid. Wow. 1-inch steel. I don't know what they're doing with it, but they're obviously handling it. Amazing. I'm always just amazed at what can be done, what we as humans have done. I may have said few things that will discourage you, but it does not take the fact that all of this is super amazing. It's super amazing that we as human species on this planet are able to do these things. And what you see here on display is going to be slightly different than what you see in a shop. There is going to be dust, smells, dirt, noise. These machines are noiseless, but not everything on these machines is turned on. Plus, there is a ambient noise in here and huge ceilings and a lot of soundproofing. So this is not indicative of the actual factory floor. But those that come here have probably been at the factory floor. They're not fooled by any of this pleasantness. It is not as pleasant. The floors are not carpeted. They're all concrete, because you got forklifts, you got trucks, you got metal everywhere. You can imagine the amount of oil. This is a cool forklift. But the biggest thing is not the amount of oil, but amount of dust. These laser cutters, they create a lot of this fine dust, and it's a metal dust, and it gets into everything. And it's not that it's unpleasant, but if you work there day in and day out, you definitely know what I'm talking about. These machines are clean and shiny. That's not how they look at the factory floor. It's pleasant to be here. If you're thinking about joining this industry, it's nice, but it's not like this. It's definitely not like this on a factory floor. But and oftentimes the company can only afford one of these machines, and it's a prized possession, and the whole company is relying. This is the brain box that I work on. The whole company is relying on that machine, and when that machine stops, the other thing, as I was listing in the costs of the replacement, is the downtime. So if the company has one machine and the whole company is relying on that machine to be productive, any day that it's not working could be hundreds of thousands of dollars in lost sales. It's not producing. The plane that's sitting on the ground is not making money. Same thing here. The machine that's not running is not making money. So I love this this arena, this show, but it's the backside that I'm more interested in the repairs. So as I'm walking through, I'm probably gonna wrap up my talk, and I will be coming to each manufacturer and seeing what they're talking about. There is actually another location here in Chicago, in Schaumburg, where Armada has a representation. They actually have a sales floor where you can go in. It's by appointment only, but you can go in and they'll give you individualized presentation on the machine. I'm sure there are other manufacturers. Chicago is a big town, lots of people, so they do private shows, and I've been to one, and it's fun. You get more personalized showing. You get to keep prettier things that they manufacture out of more like copper and aluminum, more expensive metals. I'm sure you can get some of the things that they make here. This is cool. This is a manufacturing process floor. So they have the automated warehouse, they have the automated delivery, and robotics portrayed. And one of the jobs that's really cool is setting up the place. You don't have to be an engineer. You simply need to know what machines do, You go to the company, you talk to the company, and they'll say, well, we have this many square feet of space and we need to lay out this kind of production. So if you know very well on a very high level what these machines can do, you can be a layout engineer. Very fun job. Artists welcome, because unconventional thinking is definitely... Oh, this is a punch. This is cool. They make the holes. And these things are much louder on a factory floor. The older models, I guess this one is, they found a way to quiet it down. So that's one of the jobs that would be really cool to have. If you can figure out a way to fit more stuff into a smaller space and get unlimited check or blank check to buy anything you want to get that done, that's cool. I don't know what those people get paid, but I'm sure that would be a fun job to do for an artist. And I'm not an artist. I like mechanisms, I like metal, I like gears, and I don't really like to lay things out. I want it to be laid out for me, and then if it breaks, I'll fix it and put it back in the same layout that it was originally done. Amazing show. We were here earlier, and I have a video somewhere on my channel about the automation, and that was pure robotics. These guys incorporate robotics into the working model. So machines use robots to deliver material. There is a movie that inspired me to all this. It's called Short Circuit, and it came out about 1984. And in that movie they show the factory that makes the robots, and the factory was fully automated. I'm sure when they were making the movie, all that automation was just cartoons. I mean, it was manually operated, just like the robot. The behind the scenes look at the movie was probably horrendous, not clean like this, because we're talking about 1984. Things were not developed this well. But if you're interested, it's called Short Circuit, the first part. The second part was not as fun. As far as the originality. Second part was more about the life of the robot, the human part of it, which is these things don't have human parts. They do have temperament, that's for sure. Each one of these machines is very temperamental, especially as it gets older. They develop their own way of doing things and interacting with the end user. They will, the end user or the machinist that uses the machine will always say, "Oh, don't push that. The machine doesn't like that." Like and don't like. These machines are metal. But they do have personalities, and even though they don't have feelings, you assign feelings to them, and it's interesting how we interact. These things are alive. They are not alive like you and I, but they are alive, and you treat them with respect, or they will bite your finger or arm or head or kill you. And I had that happen on a long time ago. I was working with a machine and stuck my finger where it wasn't supposed to go. And sure enough, it bit me. It bit me hard. I was scared to lose a finger, so I didn't move the machine. I just pulled my finger out. There's a big bandsaw. Scratched it badly. Let's see if I still have. There's this finger. There is the line on a finger that was left by one of these machines. It hurt. It didn't break it, but it did let me know that you don't play with me. I'm a scary thing, and I will damage you. So you treat them with respect, first of all. And whenever you approach them, yeah, you take a great care. You have to be really careful. They don't know that they're killing you. They don't have intent, but it's you who might not know what they're doing, sticking fingers, heads, or whatever. As I was working on the Armada, because it was a show floor, just like here, it didn't have the restriction fence. And I was standing too close to the robot that was picking up and transferring a sheet metal piece from one place to another. And you cannot see that sheet metal as it travels through the air. So you can see the robot arm, but you don't see the sheet metal, especially if it's at your eye level. It disappears into a thin line, and it's a black line, and you don't see it. And if you don't see it, it can slice your head off, and I mean, it'll just continue working. It doesn't know it just killed you. You have to treat it with respect. So I was just standing too close for comfort, and it swung the arm with a piece of metal next to me, and I realized, yeah, this is not as simple as it might seem. And this show does not show that. Of course, everything is super careful here. I'm sure there were accidents at this. It's not hard to have an accident, but I'm sure they take every precaution. So this is the company I worked with. And I can't say I worked for them, I worked with them. I was not an employee, I was a contractor. All right, I think I'm going to sign off and take a closer look at all these things, get some presents. As you can see, people are grabbing everything, and my kids, when we went to shows like this, usually they don't allow kids. Always they don't allow kids. So I'd bring all those toys and balls and whatnot. They would have a blast. And at one of the shows they had free drinks and free candy and whatnot, so I brought a whole bunch of that. And in a hotel, each drink was like $20. So they were very happy to see the free stuff. All right, so hopefully you like my long-winded speech about my experiences in this world. And it's a fun world. You you gotta like it. You gotta like what you're doing here. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. If you have any suggestions, definitely put them in the comments. Thank you.